An 11-year-old girl vanished on her way to school, just a few hundred feet from her house. But the strangest part wasn't the disappearance itself. It was who first noticed something was wrong, because that person would soon become the prime suspect. Audrii Cunningham's purple backpack was found near the edge of a quiet lake, a place no one could explain why she'd go near. The scene was eerily still. The water, glass smooth. The grass, damp with morning dew. No footprints. No signs of a struggle. Just a child who seemed to vanish without a trace. That morning, Texas woke up to sunshine just like any other day. Audrii left home at 7:10 a.m., the same time she always did for school. But this time, she never made it onto the bus. Her family called the police. An Amber Alert was issued. But there was something different about this case. Something that made investigators move quickly in a direction no one expected. The man who usually took her to the bus stop, someone the family trusted like one of their own, became the first person police focused on. He lived just steps away, right there in the same neighborhood. And he had a past no one wanted to believe. Audrii Cunningham, 11 years old, blonde hair, gray blue eyes, not even 4'7", was the kind of kid you'd look at and think, she's going to be just fine. She lived with her mom, her grandmother, and a few close family friends in a small trailer park in Livingston, Texas. The kind of place where bad things just didn't happen. She loved to draw, animals mostly, in a little notebook she kept tucked in her backpack. One day, she told her mom, "I want to open a rescue shelter when I grow up." Every morning, Audrii would walk herself to the end of the road, just 150 meters or so, to catch the school bus to her elementary school. Always the same routine. No one ever thought anything could go wrong in that short walk between her door and the bus stop. The neighborhood was quiet. Houses sat apart with wide patches of lawn between them. Old trucks parked silently in gravel driveways. Neighbors knew each other by name. And no one ever suspected Don Stephen McDougal. He was a longtime friend of Audrei's father, lived just down the way. He used to give Audrii rides to the bus stop. He bought pizza for the neighborhood kids. He once said, "That girl's like a granddaughter to me." But inside his bedroom was a laptop, always locked, and a criminal record, nearly 2 decades long, one the neighbors never knew about. Audrei's mom, Cassie, worked 2 jobs, usually gone early, home late. On the mornings her mom wasn't there, Audrii still got up on time. She made her own breakfast, cereal and milk, and got herself ready for school. Independent, but not alone. Teachers described her as warm, respectful, never skipped a class, never talked back. If there was ever a student who made you believe tomorrow would be better, one teacher said, it was her. She wore a small cat-shaped necklace, a favorite. The last time anyone saw it was around her neck the morning of February 15th. But when her backpack was found, the necklace was gone. And there was something else, something even her family didn't know about Audrii, something that would take this case in an entirely different direction. February 15th, 2024 started like any other morning. Audrii woke up at 6:30. She put on her favorite purple hoodie, packed her lunch into her backpack, and left the house at 7:10 a.m. She didn't seem upset. She wasn't anxious. The weather was mild, the morning sun glinting through dew-covered trees. A neighbor's doorbell camera caught a flash of her, less than 3 seconds. Just a quick glimpse before she slipped out of view. She never made it to the bus stop. The school bus arrived as usual. The driver didn't see her, assumed she was absent, and continued on. But when the class attendance came in, Audrii was missing. By lunchtime, her teacher called home. And that's when the family knew something was wrong. Her mother, Cassie, called the police around 1 p.m. Within 3 hours, word had spread across Livingston. An Amber Alert was issued, the state's highest emergency alert for a missing child. They found Audrei's backpack near the edge of Lake Livingston, the same purple bag she took every day. Inside were her lunchbox, notebooks, and the sketch pad she never went anywhere without. But there were no signs of a struggle. No blood, no disturbed footprints. Just silence. Lake Livingston is vast and still, a place where kids sometimes go to watch the sunset, but rarely alone. No one could explain why an 11-year-old girl would be near the lake on a school morning. Search teams locked down a 1-mile radius around the area where her backpack was found. Part of the team scoured the shoreline, others stepped into the water. Rescue boats traced slow paths along the lake's edge, searching for anything, a shoe, a trail, a clue. but for nearly 48 hours, they found nothing. When asked who last saw Audrii, her mother mentioned Don, the family friend who lived in the trailer just behind theirs, the same man who'd driven Audrii to the bus stop many times when Cassie had to work early. During questioning, Don told police, "I didn't see her this morning. I was still asleep." But someone else claimed they saw his truck slowly rolling toward the lake that same morning. By that evening, the little home where Audrii lived became the unofficial command center. Police cars lined the yard. Flashlights swept through trees and overgrown grass. Neighbors began arriving. Classmates, teachers, even strangers who'd never met her, offering to help. Livingston is a small town. News spreads faster than sirens. One person reported seeing a gray pickup idling near the lake. Another recalled hearing a loud noise around 7:30 a.m., but couldn't say exactly what it was. Everyone remembered something, but no one remembered enough. Police began reviewing security footage from homes around the area. Most cameras didn't face the street, and that morning, a light mist blurred the images. But near the entrance to the trailer park, one frame showed Don McDougal's vehicle. At 7:17 a.m., it was unclear who was inside. The next morning, Don was brought in for formal questioning. He was calm, polite, but not exactly cooperative. "Yeah, I've taken her to school before, but not today," he said. "I overslept. I don't know anything." When asked about the camera footage, Don claimed he was headed to the gas station. But investigators checked. There was no record of his vehicle at the station during that time. And then, there was his past. Don McDougal had once been convicted of sexually assaulting a minor in 2007. He'd served time for drug offenses. He'd been arrested for theft. But in a place like Livingston, people prefer to forget the past. If someone seems friendly enough, if they feel like family. And Don had been around the Cunningham family for years. The Amber Alert was expanded across the state of Texas. Online, Audrii's photo was everywhere. 11 years old, gray eyes, blonde hair, last seen wearing a purple hoodie. The search widened, not just to find a missing child, but to answer the deeper, more haunting question: how does a little girl disappear, practically in her own front yard? Then, investigators found something that made them stop cold. While searching Audrii's room, her phone was still sitting on her desk, untouched, undamaged. No signs it had ever left the room with her. And if that was true, then the theory that she'd simply wandered off on her own collapsed entirely. By day 3, something had shifted in Livingston. The familiar glances between neighbors were gone, replaced by quiet suspicion. Among the search volunteers, whispers began to surface. Why would she go toward the lake? And then, why is Don still walking free? Police brought Don McDougal in for a second round of questioning. His story didn't change. He said he slept in until nearly 8 a.m., didn't see Audrii that morning, and had nothing new to offer. But his next-door neighbor, Linda, who lived just feet away from Don's trailer, told investigators something else. She said she heard the rumble of Don's old truck starting up at exactly 7:10 a.m., the same moment Audrii left her home. "I saw his old silver truck pull out," Linda said. "It turned left, heading toward the lake. I was sitting right by my kitchen window. I saw it clear as day." Police checked nearby surveillance footage, and sure enough, a silver truck matching Don's was spotted near the lake road right around that time. The plates weren't visible, but the timing lined up, and the suspicion deepened. Investigators now had to ask, if Don didn't see Audrii that morning, why was his truck near the lake, the very place her backpack was found? And if he was involved, why did he seem so calm? Then came a discovery that only added to the unease. Tucked in the side pocket of Audrii's backpack was a folded piece of notebook paper, childlike handwriting, scrawled in pencil. It read, "If I get lost, look for the man with the silver truck like Mr. Don's. He's nice." No one knew when it was written. Her mother said she'd never seen it before. And when police asked Don, he shrugged. "I have no idea what she meant. Maybe she was just being silly," he said. The investigative team began to fracture. Some officers were convinced Don was involved. Others insisted it wasn't enough. No direct evidence, no eyewitness. But across town, people weren't waiting for evidence. They started putting up signs with Audrii's photo and a new handwritten slogan: "Justice for her. Trust no one." On day 5, a man named Marcus, a local technician for the phone company, walked into the police station with something unexpected: "I'm not sure if this matters," he said, "but the morning she went missing, I was working a cable line along County Road 312, near the lake." Marcus had parked his van at the junction of a trail in the tree line, just 300 meters from where Audrey's backpack had been found. "I remember it clearly because I heard someone yell, not a scream, more like someone calling out. Then it stopped. The time was 7:25. Police took his statement. That timestamp matched the footage of Dawn's truck near the lake. Marcus hadn't seen anyone, only heard something. Not enough to prove anything. But one detail stood out. His van had been parked right along the only route from Dawn's trailer to the lake. If someone had driven Audrey there, they would have passed right by him. That afternoon, detectives returned to Dawn's trailer, this time with a search warrant. They brought luminol, a chemical that detects hidden blood, and in the trunk of Dawn's silver pickup, the one caught on camera, they found traces of dried blood. Small, but enough to be sent for lab testing. When Cassie, Audrey's mom, was told, she collapsed in her kitchen. She hadn't slept a full night in 5 days. But in that moment, she knew the hope of finding her daughter alive might be slipping away. The next day, at a brief press conference, a police spokesperson said, "We are processing potential physical evidence. No theories have been ruled out at this time." But inside the department, everyone knew. All eyes were now on Don McDougal. He was still walking free, still visiting the local grocery store, still posting on Facebook saying, "People are falsely accusing me." But the anger outside was growing. Someone spray-painted "Where's Audrey" in red letters across the gate to his trailer. On day 7, investigators made another chilling discovery. In a garbage bin next to Dawn's home, they found a broken necklace, a small charm shaped like a cat. Cassie was shown the evidence. She didn't hesitate. "That's hers," she said. "I gave it to her for her 10th birthday. She never took it off." On day 8, the blood test results from Dawn's truck came back. It was human blood, and it matched the DNA of Audrii Cunningham. Within 3 hours, Don Stephen McDougal was arrested and charged with capital murder, the most serious charge under Texas law. No bail, no release. And in Livingston, no one was talking about anything else. Local news ran wall-to-wall coverage. Social media exploded with the hashtag Justice for Audrey. People exhaled, as if the nightmare had ended. But it hadn't, because Audrey's body still hadn't been found. Under pressure from the media and the public, investigators widened the search. They focused on the Trinity River, a long, winding waterway connected to Lake Livingston. They used sonar boats, drones. Cadaver dogs combed through endless reeds and wetlands. And on the 10th day, they found what no one wanted to find. Audrey's body was discovered beneath the waterline, caught under the base of a submerged tree, nearly 12 miles from where her backpack had been found. She was still wearing the same clothes she disappeared in. A preliminary autopsy confirmed blunt force trauma to the head. No signs of restraint. No signs her body had been moved multiple times. The coroner estimated time of death was within 1 to 2 hours of her disappearance. But then came the detail that stopped everyone cold. No fingerprints, no hairs, no foreign DNA, not even on her clothes. And the necklace, the small cat-shaped pendant found days earlier in Dawn's trash, showed no traces of blood. No DNA. Nothing. Which raised a disturbing question. If Dawn really killed her, why did he keep the necklace for nearly a week, only to suddenly throw it away right when police were closing in? Dawn stayed silent. His lawyer barred him from speaking to the press. But during his first formal interrogation, Dawn said just one thing. "I know I've got a record, but this time, I wasn't the only one there." To investigators, that wasn't a denial. It was something else. A warning. A hint that someone else was involved, or someone else knows what happened. When Dawn's criminal history, including a past conviction for sexually assaulting a minor, was made public, outrage exploded. "That's all the proof I need," one comment read. "He's a sick man. He was always going to do something like this." But seasoned investigators knew better. Motive is not the same as evidence. And the deeper they looked, the more something felt off, too convenient, almost staged. First, the necklace, found in the trash just outside Dawn's home, but wrapped in an old plastic bag, not the kind his household typically used. No fingerprints, no blood, no way to know who put it there or when. Second, the backpack. Like the necklace, It carried only Audrey's prints. If Don had attacked her, carried the bag, thrown it out, how did he leave no trace at all? That's when one investigator, Lieutenant Bailey, decided to review Don's entire timeline that morning. The gas station where Don claimed he went, no footage of his vehicle. But a different camera, 5 blocks away at a warehouse loading dock, captured something unexpected. At 7:19 a.m., a silver pickup, matching Don's, was parked quietly in his own driveway. If that timestamp was accurate, it meant one of two things. Either someone else was driving a truck just like Don's that morning, or Don was telling the truth. He hadn't left home at 7:10. Bailey submitted an internal report, asking to re-examine every piece of video evidence. But the pressure outside kept mounting. One TV station built a full crime scene reenactment, branding Don the predator next door. The town began to fracture. Some were convinced of his guilt, just by the way he looked. "You can see it in his face," one woman said. Others, a smaller group, asked a harder question. If guilt showed on someone's face, why would we need detectives at all? Cassie, Audrey's mother, didn't take sides. She only asked for one thing. "Please don't turn my daughter into a symbol. She was a child. She deserves the truth, not a shortcut to justice." In a short pretrial hearing, Don's defense team made a surprising request: a 90-day delay in proceedings. Why? To investigate another individual, someone with a deep personal connection to the Cunningham family, and someone who had been seen near the scene on the morning Audrey disappeared. 3 weeks after Audrey's body was found, Lieutenant Bailey requested a review of everyone who'd been in and out of her home in the weeks before she disappeared, and one unexpected name surfaced. Nathaniel Reed, 38 years old, Cassie's ex-boyfriend. Nathaniel had lived with Cassie and Audrey for nearly a year, but moved out months earlier after a serious argument. Police records showed a prior domestic violence call involving him, but Cassie had refused to press charges. When investigators asked her about him, Cassie hesitated but confirmed, "Yes, I used to live with Nate, but he never hurt my daughter, and we haven't spoken in months." That wasn't exactly true. Cell phone records revealed that just 3 days before Audrey vanished, Nate had texted Cassie, "I miss you. I miss her too. You can't keep shutting me out like this." Cassie replied only once, "Please don't contact me again." Phone tower data placed Nate in Livingston on the morning of February 15th, even though he lived nearly 90 miles away. When questioned, Nate claimed he was making a delivery to a client nearby. But when asked for the client's name, he stammered. No clear answer. Shortly after that interview, Nate deleted his social media accounts, turned off his phone, and disappeared. Surveillance footage from a Houston motel showed him leaving at 2 a.m., carrying a large suitcase. A local warrant was issued, but it took nearly a week to locate him. He was found at a cheap roadside motel near the Louisiana border. Nate told officers, "I panicked. I didn't do anything. I just knew they'd try to pin this on me like they did with Don." Police were stuck. Despite Nate's suspicious behavior, there was no physical evidence tying him to the scene. No DNA, no blood, no security footage of him with Audrey. Just wrong place, wrong time, and texts that were hard to explain. In a closed-door confrontation, Don McDougal said something unsettling. "I didn't kill that girl, but I know Nate's been to that house. I've seen his car outside, more than once. Just because I've got a past doesn't mean I'm the only one who could have done this." The following 2 weeks were a blur of confusion. What once looked like a clear-cut case now felt like smoke and mirrors. Don remained behind bars, but no new charges had been filed. Prosecutors grew uneasy. Without stronger evidence, they feared the case might fall apart in court. Nate was released after 72 hours in custody, not charged, but placed on a watch list. Investigators had no choice but to start over, combing through every thread, no matter how small. That's when they found something strange. On Audrey's phone. Even though the phone had been discovered untouched in her bedroom, the digital logs showed that someone accessed her private messaging app at 7:12 a.m., just 2 minutes after she left the house. One final message had been sent. "I'm gone. I'm safe. Don't call anymore." The message was sent to an unknown number, never saved in her contacts. Further tracing revealed it belonged to a prepaid burner phone, purchased and activated at the very same gas station Don claimed he visited. the one where cameras showed no record of him ever being there. This raised a chilling possibility. Was there a third person involved? Someone manipulating the entire investigation from behind the scenes? Someone who knew Dawn's habits, knew Audrey's routines, and knew how to stage a scene just convincingly enough to mislead. But why? What was the motive? Meanwhile, public anger began to turn. Cassie, Audrey's mother, became the target of online harassment. People demanded to know. Why didn't she mention Nate sooner? Why was her daughter's phone still at home? How could she not hear anything when everything happened just steps from her door? Cassie shut down her social media. In her only interview, she said softly, "I'm a mother who lost her child. I don't have answers. I only have grief." But the internet wasn't listening anymore. On message boards and live streams, a single word started gaining traction: cover-up. Some believed the police were rushing to close the case, afraid of exposing someone with power. Others said the evidence felt too perfect, like it had been carefully placed. In the growing fog of doubt, the voice of justice became quieter. No one felt entirely innocent, and no path led clearly to the truth. Only one question still echoed, louder than the rest. Why did a child like Audrey have to die? And for who? 1 month after Audrey's funeral, the students and teachers at her elementary school came together to build a small stone bench in the schoolyard. Etched into it were the words, "In memory of Audrey, the girl with the purple backpack and the biggest dreams." That purple backpack, now a symbol of the morning she vanished, sits behind glass in the school's main hallway. Next to it, her drawing notebook. On one of the final pages, she had sketched a small house lined with trees and a little cat curled up on the porch. Underneath, in shaky handwriting, she wrote, "When I grow up, I want everyone to have a place to come home to." No one knows exactly when Audrey wrote that, but everyone who reads it falls silent. The case remains open. Dawn McDougal is still behind bars. Nate Reed is still under watch. Cassie has retreated from public view. And the police have no new leads. Audrey's death didn't make national headlines. There were no major documentaries, no talk shows, just another quiet tragedy. A missing white girl from a small Texas town, and a web of lies so deep no one can say for certain what truth is anymore. At a recent town council meeting, someone asked the police chief, "Is there any update on the case?" He simply shook his head. "We're still investigating." But the truth is, some cases never get solved, because sometimes not everyone wants them to be solved. And for the rest of us, those on the outside, only one question remains. If an 11-year-old child can disappear just steps from home, then who among us is ever truly safe? Lake Livingston is still as quiet as it was the first day they searched it. Its surface no longer reflects the truth, only the sky and the memory